Third race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup, and after 2 gentle weeks in Innsbruck in Austria, it's a wake-up call as we head to Altenberg in Saxony. Friday dawns crisp clear with the ice super hard and fast for the first action from women's skeleton. After winning her first World Cup bronze a week earlier, Valentine Margalio crashed on the exit of corner 4 and abandoned her sled midway through the run. She was out of the competition. Austria's Janine Flock lay in 6th position after first heat. The track record had already been broken twice by Katie Uhlaender and Julia Kanakina, who led as Flock came to the line. And from a slender margin behind, she speared through the final corner to take the lead with another new record. Kim Malman's next up, top 5 position after the first run. The Belgian has also claimed a bronze medal this season, her World Cup first in Innsbruck, race 1. 2300s ahead of Janine Flock early in the run, but couldn't quite hang on and dropped a whisker behind. Alina Tararechenkova of Russia, 4th place in the first 2 World Cup races, 4th in the World Championships on this track in February of this year. Bronze medal after the first heat would need a fantastic run to hold on from the veteran Janine Flock. In only her 9th World Cup start, the 21-year-old Muscovite set a great time to take a slender lead and guarantee herself a first ever World Cup medal. 300 separated the top 2 in the first heat. Germany's Hannah Neiser also in her 9th World Cup race. 21st start, and she couldn't quite match the pace of the Russian. Down at the bottom, she was lightning fast, but not fast enough, and dropped to 3rd. Flock was in the medals, as was Tararechenkova. 1 sled remained. Tina Hermann has never won a World Cup race on this track, but she won the last 2 World Championship races here. She led after the first heat, but after a tricky turn 4 had to come from behind to retake the lead. Using all of her skill and experience, she speared to a brand new track record and her first win of the season. Tararechenkova takes 2nd, ahead of Janine Flock of Austria. Tina Hermann, a winner, as Kimberly Boss takes the lead of the World Cup standings from Tararechenkova. And as Elena Nikitina drops to 3rd, Tararechenkova is now the top Russian in the World Cup rankings. Friday afternoon, and the track still in perfect conditions, ready for the men's skeleton race. The perils of the Altenberg track displayed by Austin Florin in the first heat, flying towards a top 5 run. A huge crash in the finish curve sent him spiralling into the wall and out of the race. In the top 10 after the first of the 2 heats, Russia's Nikita Tregibov. He's been in a bit of a slump since winning the Olympic bronze medal in 2018, but the Russian put his teammate Alexander Trechikov back behind him in the 2nd heat, laying down a real storming run. Tregibov was still the leader as we got to his young teammate Vladislav Semenov. He was 7th after the first heat, just 600ths quicker than his teammate, and he managed to hang on to that lead all the way down. In only his 4th World Cup, he would end as the top Russian athlete, just 200ths ahead of Tregibov. Semenov still led as we got to the top 3. Could the youngster take a medal? Well, Martin Stukos of Latvia has 4 wins on this track alone. 3rd after the first heat, he accelerated away. A good 2nd run from the veteran Latvian, putting him comfortably clear and in the medals. 2 to go. Axel Junk, silver medalist here in the World Championships 2 years ago, on the sidelines last year with injury. Still not quite 100%, but sliding on home ice, and his 2nd run was an absolute barnstormer. He left Martin Stukos trailing in his wake, but all his eyes were on the main prize. 3 of Christopher Groothair's 4 career gold medals at the top category have been in Altenberg. His first World Cup win and 2 World Championships. He took his second World Cup win in Innsbruck last week, but that was not going to be repeated here. He just dropped behind in the final corners to take silver, but Axel Jung thrilled to be a winner on home ice for the very first time in the World Cup. Axel Jung, Christopher Groothair and Martin Stukur's the podium. The big story, Vladislav Semenov in 4th. Olympic champion Sun Bin Jung failed to make the cut. Christopher Groothair and Axel Jung lead the standings from Martin Stukur's, but Vladislav Semenov is the top Russian slider in 4th. Saturday in Altenberg and a snowy, blustery morning, ready for the women's monobob to take to the ice. In the second heat of this new discipline, Ashley Werner introducing a new kink. Front-side nose grind on her way down to the Kreisel. Into the battle for the medals, Nadezhda Sergeyeva of Russia, the top Russian slider lying in 7th place after a good first heat. And another strong second run to put her in with a chance of a top 6 finish ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor. Kim Kalicki of Germany, 6th after the first heat, but a crash out of quarter 9 put paid to her chances of a medal. And she wasn't alone. Melissa Lotholz, 5th after the first heat, also crashed out of 9 and out of medal contention. A little bit of a delay before Christine de Bruyn got her chance to go. Tied for 3rd in the first heat with Lauren Alter of Germany. The Canadian went first, trying to hold off Sergeyeva. And by the Kreisel, she had got her nose back in front. A top 4 finish guaranteed. But was it good enough for a medal? With 3 to go, the remaining German slider, Lauren Alter. She's not been out of the medals in 6 monobob races so far, and this looked like it would be no different. A controlled run to creep away from Christine de Bruyn at the line and guarantee herself another World Cup medal. World champion on this track in February, Kaylee Humphries, did the first day of training, flew to San Diego and back to be sworn in as a US citizen, and raced strongly in the second heat as she had in the first, taking the lead with 1 to go. A big run from Humphries. First heat leader was rookie driver Cynthia Appia. A former brakewoman for Humphries, they won many medals together. Now they raced against each other. Appia had just 900s in hand from the first heat and wasn't able to be quite as tidy in her second. Another strong start, but at the line she came up just a whisker shy. Humphries taking her first official win as a US citizen, and Appia thrilled with her first ever World Cup medal as a driver. Lauren Alter took 3rd from Christine de Bruyn at the tough Altenberg track. After a helter-skelter monobob race Saturday afternoon, the conditions were a little better for the 2-man bobsleigh. A great first run from Chris Spring and Mike Evelyn of Canada left them firmly in the top 5 position, just 2 tenths away from a potential medal. And another second good trip down the track that almost killed him 10 years ago shows that Spring has lost none of his great touch in a 2-man sled. Top 5 guaranteed. Next up, the first of 3 German sleds in the top 4. Christoph Hafer didn't start quite as strongly as Chris Spring and didn't drive quite as well either. Good speed at the Kreisel. He got close at the line, but he was not going to be close enough. The Canadians might be on for a medal. It's not often you get to Francesco Friedrich as the 3rd from last sled, but errors early in the run and down below on his home ice had cost him. 1600ths off the lead. He put together a much better second run though. Still not perfect, that's almost impossible in Altenberg, but he took the lead with 2 sleds remaining. 11 hundredths ahead of the great German was Rostislav Gajtukovic in his 13th World Cup start in two-man. He's already had one bronze medal in his career, and it looked as though he wasn't going to hang on in front of Friedrich. He slipped into second place, still guaranteed a medal with one to go. Final sled, the only man to have beaten Francesco Friedrich in a two-man race in over 18 months, Johannes Lochner. But a problem with his visor early on left him with vision difficulties, and that was just enough to blunt the challenge. He slipped from first place behind his arch-rival, Friedrich, taking a 12th straight win in two-man racing. And it's a third straight silver medal on this track in 3 years for Johannes Lochner, the last two in the World Championships. 3 wins out of 3 for Francesco Friedrich. And Johannes Lochner chases him in second, with Gajtukovic third in the World Cup standings, tied with Justin Cripps. Sunday morning and a little overcast and misty, but still time to see the women's bobsleigh in action here in Altenberg. Giada Andriucci and Tania Vicenzino first led out in the second heat, crashing on their way down the track, complete the run. Alana Myers-Taylor for the USA, fifth after the first heat, the former winner on this track. Majesta Segev had a great run from 9th place, led as Myers-Taylor came to the ice, but the American triumphed by 0.08 of a second to take the lead. World Championship bronze medalist 2 years ago in Altenberg, Christine de Bruin and Kristen Buchnovsky for Canada, 0.16 off the lead. First job as they aimed for the medals was to beat Myers-Taylor, and they had a nice clean run at the bottom of the track, accelerating away to the line. 0.3 clear, a real medal shot. Third after the first heat, Kim Kalicki, 2 silver medals to start the season in Innsbruck. She was the silver medalist here in the last 2 races, the last 2 World Championships on this track. She was just 0.09 of silver in the first heat. Slender lead over De Bruin evaporated with mistakes at the bottom though, and she dropped back. De Bruin was in the medals. In second after the first heat, just 0.02 back, the previous day's women's monobob race winner, Kaylee Humphries, with Keisha Love behind her for the very first time to help her at the start. They got 2 good getaways, and 2 great drives from Kaylee kept her firmly in medal contention. The 5-time winner on this track, looking for another. The final sled though, Lara Nolte, the World Cup points leader, with 2 wins already under her belt this season. 0.02 is not a big margin on any track, and certainly not in Altenberg, but on home German ice she had a good top part to the track. It all came unravelled from 14 on down though, and at the line she was just behind. Kaylee Humphries takes career win number 6 in Altenberg. That's 4 World Cup races and 2 World Championships in the last 6 outings. Lara Nolte, though, remains our World Cup points leader after the 3rd of our season's 8 races. The final event of the weekend, the blue ribbon, the Königsklasse, it's the 4-man. Disappointing first heat in the 4-man for Hansi Lochner, left him down in 9th place, nearly 0.6 off the lead, but only 0.18 away from a potential medal. A much better second run for this former winner put him into contention. Lochner was still the leader as Justin Cripps of Canada, 5th after the first heat came to the line. Between them there was just 0.06 of a second. Initially it looked as though Cripps might hold on, but lower down the track the mistakes crept in, the speed ebbed away, and he dropped behind Lochner. Lochner still led incredibly with 3 to go. In the bronze medal position after the first heat of the 2-man, Rostislav Gajtukovic moved up to silver. Could he do the same again in the 4-man? Well, first he had to beat Lochner and it was going to be tight, but he just had enough to take his first ever World Cup 4-man medal. Silver medalist in the World Championships in February, Benny Meyer and his crew from Austria lay in the silver medal position after the first heat, but 36 hundredths behind leader Francesco Friedrich, so it was all about hanging on to the second place at the end of the race, and he beat Gajdukovic to guarantee himself that silver medal. Francesco Friedrich wasn't perfect in the first heat. He rarely is in Altenberg. Nobody is in Altenberg. But a good lead of 36 hundredths was too much to give away, and in fact he added to it, racing away to take his 18th four-man World Cup victory by over 2/3 of a second in 2 heats. His 90th World Cup medal of his career. Friedrich, Meyer and Gajdukovic, the podium finishers. Another home win for Francesco Friedrich as he continues his perfect season in four-man as well as two-man. The third race weekend done and dusted. A short trip now to Winterberg in the Hochsauerland for race weekend number 4.